Hi, Facebook. Welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Following up with last week's topic of the psychology of buying a home, we're going to do the psychology of selling a home. And we have the new Smart Seller book.
Very
All right,
nice.
we're going to hopefully have
field manual.
the field manual. Yes. Hopefully have PDFs ready to send out for people who want their copy by the time the show airs on Sunday. We should have that.
It'll be a Valentine's Day gift.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. I like it.
Free. Hit us up if you want it. If this is something you're interested in, those watching on Facebook, just type in that you want a copy. We'll get it out to you as soon as it's ready. All right, you guys ready for the show? Anybody, make sure you stick around for the after show because I'm sure today's topic, we won't be able to cover everything during the live recording. All right.
And we got a joke for everybody at the end.
There you go. All right.
Did you say it was free? The book?
Free book.
You don't hear
Yes.
that often.
That's correct.
There's a lot of good stuff in that book for free.
Yes. Like I was, we were talking about, it is something that you'll never get that much information in any listing conversation or a conversation with an agent. It's just, because it's so many people's experiences all put together. And so
Right.
we want to make sure it gets in everybody's hands. All right, you ready? Cool. Here we go. Are you thinking about buying or selling a house, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate Network Title, Eric Bloomstrad and Chad Prevey with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tolfson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. You can also check us out anytime at brickstwincities.com. or type in Bricks Real Estate on Facebook. Watch us record live most Tuesdays around the noon hour. Today, we are going to be talking about the psychology of selling a home. That's following up after last week's topic of psychology of buying a home. And we have a new book that we've been talking about, which is the Smart Seller. We've got it, finally came out. And so if you would like a copy, hit us up. Call us at that 651-303-0019. Or you can email us at support@brickstwincities.com. So the Smart Seller, a guide through the sale process and maximizing value. So today in the psychology of selling a home, we're going to be hitting on a few different pieces of this book, only just grazing the surfaces. But the one thing I wanted to touch on is right now the market is moving incredibly fast out there. It was the fastest January I have ever experienced in my career. Danny, would you say the same?
I was reading an email. Say that one more time.
The fastest January I've ever experienced in my career.
Oh, it's insanity. Yeah.
Yes. And I'd like to welcome Danny Dietel from Bricks Real Estate to the radio show today.
Danny's still in California.
Yeah. No, I'm here.
I'm jealous, by the way.
And we have Chad Prevey again joining us today. Hello. Talk about this. Yeah, but it's the fastest market I've ever experienced. And
Yeah, especially relative to, we do say, the spring market can start anywhere from, January 2nd. It did a few years ago, but last year, it was March and April.
Yeah,
when it started to take off.
we're up right now in comparison to last year with showing activity by 26%.
Wow.
Right now, in comparison to 2017, we're actually right on par with the showing activity at that time. So, but the difference is the inventory.
Yeah.
Right. That the lower inventory is keeping that total number of showings or the total number of listings down.
Right.
So,
just an anecdotal piece on that. There was a house in Richfield listed at $325. So Super Bowl Sunday, February 2nd, 20 offers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you thought it was priced relatively appropriately, right? And then
It was underpriced.
okay.
So, yeah, but it was it was the best house on the market, so
Okay.
it attracted just a everybody.
Ton of interest.
know,
Well, yeah. I mean, and I talk about that with sellers, especially if we're dealing with different brackets, to put it at that bracket just to drive activity, even if it's a little underpriced.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so you have this really fast-moving market, a lot of excitement out there, but this can cause people to try to rush their listing on. And this is one of the biggest errors that a person can make, because it sets up for one, if not more, of the top 5 mistakes that can happen. And that's, not giving yourself enough time to get your home ready. I mean, imagine getting a car ready to sell and you didn't get to inflating one of the tires. How that badly would that show, or washing the car, right? It's not going to look as good. Sometimes rushing, you forget to talk to the professionals about what things you should do to get your house ready. You end up not thinking about the process, so you rush into putting an offer, then that causes you to rush on getting your home to the market. So whatever you do, just really try not to rush this process. You want to take your time. Now, there is something as far as having some urgency. There's a difference, right?
Right.
Hey, the market's going to be good through March or April, so if you're starting now, let's go for that March or late March, early April listing date.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, because there is the as we've seen the last couple years, what tends to happen is buyer fatigue does set in.
Yeah.
So you get 20 people bidding on one house. There's going to be a whole bunch of people, like every year, that lose the game of musical chairs here and don't end up with something. So taking advantage of that spring market. And then the summer markets, I mean, they can still be good, but it's
a
nowhere
lot.
near.
Well, it's about half the summertime activity levels. Even though the sale prices are higher, the activity levels are about half. So that multiple offer situations, you just don't see them as often.
Right.
Yeah, I almost brought that up in the Bricks Report video. Was if we're starting this early, it's going to end early. Usually, or slow down earlier.
Right.
I mean, you only have so many buyers, right? And
Exactly.
you get that buyer fatigue out there.
And plus, people get into their summer activities, vacation or going up to the cabin, kids' activities, so on and so forth.
So yeah, I mean, don't be in a rush, but on the same hand, don't procrastinate.
Yep.
So, okay, commissions. This is an interesting one. I recently did, it was for the purpose of the book, did a study to figure out what the differential was on low commission brokerages and agents versus standard or high. And what I found was that where commissions were at 5% or less, or the buyer payouts were at 2.5, that the average price per square foot received was about 7. It depended on the area, but it was between 6 and 8%.
Wow.
Difference, right? That's huge. So why is that, right? Well, you're trying to save a little money on commission, but then you're slashing the budget for marketing. You are cutting that marketing budget. And if you think, if you're kidding yourself that company is putting the same dollars in, they aren't, right?
So one thing that's important to look at that in that regard as well is two companies charging a higher commission, while there are averages, like you still need to talk to a couple companies, because there are plenty of people who will full commission.
Well, yes,
not invest
not
in the
provide
marketing.
the-
Well, and
not provide the
that's
good
that's
service,
kind of the
right.
next thing in the book is talking about a marketing plan and what they're providing.
Right.
Obviously, you want that,
Right.
but just keep in mind that if you're slashing commissions, if you're talking it down, that's going to have a direct effect on marketing dollars, and more than likely, it's slashing the buyer payout, and may reduce the number of people that come. I mean, you got to be careful of what you think. It's jumping over dollars to save pennies at the end of the day. So it sounds like a good idea. Hey, lower commission, less expenses, I'm saving money. Opposite effect. You want that good marketing plan. That's going to get you the money. The maximum spread that I found from high quality marketing to discount, 14%.
The other
Huge.
the other interesting thing is in a market with low inventory, you would think that and the prevalence of sites like Zillow, you would think that selling for sale by owner would be easier, and you're actually seeing for sale by owners at some of the lowest levels that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Going down.
Yep.
On the mortgage side, I have clients that call me without real estate representation, and they say, "Is it a benefit to sell by owner?" You know, and I say, "Well, the benefit to you is to find a professional real estate agent to get the most out of what you're trying to do. And that's selling real estate. It's a huge investment, right?"
Yeah.
So,
And it's all anecdotal. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are circumstances where somebody can sell their house on their own.
Yeah, I do.
For sure.
I do probably 2 to 4 facilitators a year,
Yeah.
helping somebody through the paperwork because it made sense.
Right.
There was actually a study done. I again have it in the book talking about the number of transactions, and it's about 2% of all transactions. Somebody knows somebody,
Yep.
and that's how they found out.
right.
Hey, that can make a lot of sense. I mean, especially a family member or friend, and you're just trying to make things work. Hey, great. And then that's where I talk about, well, I'm happy to help you with that paperwork to get through that, because that's a hurdle a lot of people in that situation have no clue about. So,
Right.
all right. Well, when we come back, I want to get into something I call the Fry effect. I'll read it right out of the book. I think it's a good kind of idea of what buyers may be thinking if you don't prep your home properly. And then start talking about calculating values of properties and how there's a lot of misconceptions with that, and a whole bunch more. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Or you can reach out after the show if you're thinking about making a move and you have any questions. Happy to help answer those as well. We'll be right back. Ready?
Sure.
Right.
I have a client, no matter how many times I email him, calls me Denny
Denny?
instead of Danny.
Denny? Is it an accent thing?
This is an email.
Okay. Yes, I should have picked up on that. All right.
No accent.
You put in those little funny things, like Swedish lettering.
Yeah.
Libby, Lily, same thing.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. Today we are talking about the psychology. Psychology.
Oh, I like that.
Hey,
Psychology.
That's
Yes.
great.
Go along with our Brixology.
Buying the domain.
Nice. Exactly.
I'm sure that
was
was
sold.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. The psychology of selling a home is what we're talking about today. Following up with last week's topic, the psychology of buying a home. All right, so something I'm talking, kind of pulling from the new book, the Smart Seller Guide. Again, if you'd like a copy of this, reach out to us. Happy to get it out for free. We'll have a PDF we can email out. 651-303-0019. You can reach out to us by phone, or you can hit us up at brickstwincities.com for that as well. All right, so preparing a home for sale is really important and can have the littlest things can have huge impacts. And so I wanted to read something from the book. Imagine yourself test driving a new car. It is freshly washed, has that new car smell, handles and drives like a dream. It's priced right too. Would you buy it? Now imagine getting into that exact same car. This time there's a sack of French fries spilt in the passenger seat and a half-empty cup of pop in the cup holder. The new car smell is replaced by stale fries, and the pristine look is tarnished. How would you feel about your experience now? Would you still pay the same price? Would you even buy it? This hopefully gives you an idea of the littlest thing, dirty dishes in a sink, dog poop out in the front yard,
Yeah.
a sticky doorknob when somebody's trying to access the house. You want to try to prep that home to have their experience be as good as possible. And it's the little things that have some of the biggest differences.
Right.
So, and smells, that's a huge one. That's a huge one, especially for pet owners out there. There's a lot of people that have pet allergies or just don't have interest in pets. And
Right.
so to have that fresh air smell in there is very important. As you can see, I know if I got into that car, I'd be like, ew.
Or I'm buying
Next.
it for less.
Or I'm buying
Right,
it for a lot
yeah,
less,
I'm gonna
right?
I'm going to lowball them.
Right? Exactly.
What do you do in the wintertime? Windows are shut. We don't have a lot of fresh air coming through, and we have a dog or a cat. What do you recommend as far as getting that?
They do have the neutral air fresheners, and you can crack a window to let
Okay.
some fresh air in, cycle it, turn on your bath fan.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance too because you don't want to overdo it.
Well, you don't want
You
to.
don't want the Febreze going on.
Yeah, you don't want to walk into a house where they've lit 15 candles because then the question.
No,
is,
then they're
what
what
are
covering
they
it.
covering?
What's
Yeah.
really going on here? right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So taking the time to prepare, though, we talked about not rushing. That those little things tend to get missed when you rush.
Mhm.
And so taking your time to do the right things, talking to your real estate agent, doing that walkthrough about what to do. We have a list of kind of the common stuff, but every home is unique in what you want to take care of and that order of priority. All right. Let's see.
How many times do you go up to when you're showing a house and the lockbox doesn't work or you're struggling with it as an agent? So if you're, I guess so when you're listing a home, if you're representing a seller, you want to make sure your mechanicals are.
It tends not to be the lockbox. It tends to be the locks.
Okay.
Right.
The locks or the even little things like the location of the lockbox, like
Yep.
in the snowy weather.
Right.
It's
Oh, yeah,
it's on
down.
it's on a fence, in the side yard, and you're like hopping over a fence. Anything that takes away from the focus of just having a good experience in the house is a negative.
Right. Okay.
But usually it's user error on my end.
It would be for me too, but
Yeah, no, I find it's just getting the door open. We got a lot of older homes, and spending the $25 to have a clean lock set that opens easily, it's probably worth it.
Right,
Um,
and not 7 keys to 7 different locks.
Oh,
getting
yes.
in and out, and providing access to the garage often gets overlooked. Is there a garage door opener or a key to get in?
good point.
Because if they weren't able to see the garage and
Yeah.
multiple offers happened, well, they didn't get a full tour of the home. They have to make a decision without full visibility of the house.
So one of the challenges, and this is a big one, and we see people that will almost just like completely pull out of the process because this seems so daunting, and that's buying a home with a home to sell. How do you do that? How do you time that? And there's many different ways. We're not going to get into all of them, but the one thing I want to touch on is it's common for people to go, well, I'm going to make a contingent offer. Well, guess what? With inventory as low as it is, depending on the price point that you're buying in, you may only find yourself with 30% of sellers that would be willing to accept that contingent offer just because it's contingent, even if it's strong.
And also, the logic that sellers often use with that is, my house will sell in 2 minutes.
Right.
You may know that. We may know that. The seller of the home that you're buying, they have no idea.
Right, and they might be sitting with another offer.
Yes,
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you have the competitive markets, you might want to look at what other options. And a good real estate agent is going to be able to talk you through, do you put your house on the market first and get an offer before you're making offers, right? Do you?
In this market, you're better off making the sale of your home contingent on
You
finding a home.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
buyers are at the mercy of sellers. So if that is an absolute, that is generally the better way to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. That's one of the things we cover in there, and how to navigate that, and doing different things like we've talked about, bridge loans or swing loans, or
This is some good information. Do you have this written down anywhere that I could access easily at my home?
You know what? We do. It's called the Smart Seller, a guide through the sale process and getting
And it's
maximizing.
free.
Did it
It's
did
free.
it just get released or something?
Well, technically, if you're listening to the show on AM 950, yes, it just got released on probably Friday.
Good timing.
For
on my
those
end.
watching us on Facebook, we'll have it ready on Friday. Yeah, and I mean, we're just scraping the surface here with the information. One of the things I'm going to be telling my sellers is, would you like to make $20,000 more on your, or would you read a book for $20,000 more on your home sale? My guess is the answer is going to be yes, and I'm going to go, here you go, right?
I hope so.
And to alleviate a ton of stress, because what is in the guide is meant to help, just like, oh, this is how you do it. This is the way to do it and get it done. And it talks about like the 5 stressors. What Zillow released, I think when we were there for the conference, the 5 stressors. Not knowing when a home is going to sell. Well, guess what? A good agent is going to be able to tell you when your home will sell. Being uncertain what price it should sell for. A good agent is going to be able to tell you that, right? What improvements to make? Well, some of that we cover in the book, but again, an agent's going to help you through that. The concern of what do you do if an offer falls through? Guess what? Not too many of that doesn't happen if you're vetting your offers properly. And we discuss that in the book as well. Timing the sale with a new purchase. Cover all of that in there. So what we wanted to do was build a guide around solving the 5 biggest stressors in there. Right. Okay, so I want to touch on this one, showing expectations and timing and time on market. There's technology out there. This is a huge stressor for a lot of people. Hey, how did the showing go? Did we get feedback on that? Hey, we've been on the market for 5 days. Why don't we have an offer yet, right? There's the technology to go in your neighborhood. The average days right now is 30. That's the average. That is the expectation you should be building around that. And you can go through that with your agent as you're setting that up. How many showings should you get in that amount of time? The technology is there to see exactly how many showings are happening on the average properties if prepared properly. And that takes away so much stress from a seller. Oh, okay, 30 days. Okay, so average. I will say it's interesting. In rural areas, you see showing activity that it's only taken like 9 to get a property sold, but then around here it's like 23.
Yeah,
showings.
and it's all circumstantial. So just an anecdotal one, I listed a condo on Lake Harriet recently, and we were on the market for about 2 weeks. Small space, but lake views, special but unique. And what ended up happening is a little over 2 weeks in, we ended up with 4 offers in one day.
Yeah, I mean, it can just take a little time.
Yeah,
it's not always day one. You got to remember when you see that, and then that was part of the reason I put it in here. When you see that house next door or 3 down that sells in 2 days, remember that could be a fire sale situation, and sometimes what I call an unintentional fire sale.
Yeah.
Maybe the agent just underpriced it, right? You need to go off of what are real expectations. So taking that time to go through that information is hugely important so you can maximize that value. Well, hopefully you found this information helpful. Again, if you'd like a copy of this guide, The Smart Seller, it's free. Give me a call, 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Or hit us up at brickstwincities.com. Just reach out through the contact. We'll be back again next week. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, so a couple things I want to touch on in our after show.
You know, one thing I real quick, sorry to interrupt you. One thing I liked a lot of what you said is everybody has different expectations, right? And I talk to people about this all the time is, you hear things at work. Well, my buddy bought my house or bought a house, got this rate, got this great deal, or whatever. So everybody's situation's different. So, just because your neighbor sold for $50,000 more than probably what your house is worth doesn't mean you're going to get that extra $50,000.
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean.
It's
if your neighbor hit the Powerball, does that mean you're going to hit the Powerball?
Right.
It's
and 50,000 more than what? An arbitrary list price?
I can price a Ferrari at $500. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things we drill on in this guide is anybody can sell a home. To sell a home the smart way takes getting that information. Like, how do I do this to get that money? And it's big percentages. I mean, on average, or the average, if you go about this the shotgun approach, 14 to 20% under. I have no problem
That's
saying that. I can
huge
show
money.
the data all day long, right? If you go about this the smart way, then you're going to maximize. You're going to be at that 14, 20% higher. And obviously different qualities of different agents, different marketing plans, different preparation is going to play into that. But to start off on the right foot and at least know where what you do has different impacts to it. One thing I wanted to touch on is the don't oversell it. That is a huge one where like setting expectations as far as time on market is important and showing expectations, but setting expectations for buyers and appropriate expectations is just as important. And I have some really funny pictures in here where they were calling out these. Did you see these, Danny? Right, they would call that a master bathroom. Right.
Suite. Yeah.
Yeah. Master suite. Yeah, exactly. Right. And so what happens when a buyer comes in and sees the toilet in a closet? Right. Yes. I'm not kidding you. It's a toilet in a closet.
The murder shower in the basement.
Right. The murder shower in the basement that they're calling a 3/4 bath. Right. You set an expectation for something and then you completely let them down. Whereas if you just say nothing about that space at all and let them go, hey, there's an extra toilet down here. Now they're happy.
Right.
And so let a buyer see what these unique spaces are. And these are some of the extreme examples. But what about that second floor with the low ceiling height? Is it really worth calling it finished square footage if you're going to just let people down? Or let them see, hey, this would be a cool playroom or a sewing room or whatever you want to do with that.
Right.
Overselling can just really hurt the experiences.
Well, and that advice comes from an experienced agent. So you got... And from my experience personally is you have some folks out there that just want to sell you a property, right, or make their money, and they're not educating you on these types of things we're talking about. So that is very important.
I know one, Danny, that you like to talk about a lot, which is the importance of feedback.
Oh, just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
In my opinion, for the most part, feedback comes in the form of either an offer or no offer. Every agent automatically sends out feedback requests from agents.
Yep.
And the amount of useful feedback is about 1%.
Yeah.
So it might be, there's a gas leak in the house. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you for saving my family's life.
Yeah.
My client needs 6 bedrooms in a 2-bedroom condo. Not useful feedback.
No.
It's incurable.
Well, one of my favorites, a listener of the radio show, we were selling his house, and it was on France Avenue, and the feedback came back, buyer didn't like busy road.
Ah,
It's like
France Avenue, yeah.
Or the one where it's a 600 square foot home was too small for buyer.
Yeah.
And it's just like this is not useful at all. Now, I'm a little less maybe cynical on feedback as for, if I am getting, because feedback rate is between 30 and 50%. And if I keep getting price too high, 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 that it's about 90% price too high. Then
your houses don't get that feedback.
I've seen houses, but I'm just saying that I'm saying that if I were to see that hypothetically,
yeah, okay. Gotcha.
That it's probably priced too high for the market conditions at that moment.
My only point is if you have 20 showings and no offers, that is saying the same thing.
It is.
Or if you have no showings, that is saying the same thing.
Great point.
Or the other thing is a curable objection. Whatever it is, a smell.
Yes.
That is in the home, right? That's a curable objection typically,
but
worn down carpet.
My only argument with that is a good listing agent already knows those things
and probably already told.
Already either dealt with a seller. So what's frustrating is the constant request for feedback to reiterate it to the listing agent's client.
Well,
I don't work for the seller. In my opinion, the longer that home stays on the market, it may now come down in price, to a point where it is now beneficial for my buyer to go in. So yes, we cooperate with each other, but if I'm representing the buyer, I am not working for the seller. I am not looking out for their best interest. I'm just not. I'm looking out for my client.
Well,
So
and that's
Sure.
the if I'm going to write a offer on a home, if I'm seriously interested, I'm not submitting feedback, and
No.
I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to do that. Well, I'm going to show my hand.
my favorite is it's
Yeah.
underpriced is an option.
Yes,
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Who is going to provide that feedback?
it's
Ever.
underpriced. Here's my offer.
Like we work together on deals, but we do not represent each other's clients.
Right.
Are you going to show my buyers a home?
We
That's
talk
fine.
about
yeah,
Busy?
yeah.
I
we
mean,
talk about that in the mortgage business with pre-approval letters. They're like, well, we want the dollar amount what they're pre-approved up to. I'm like, well, why would I tell you that?
right.
No, I'm not
I'm
showing.
never going to tell you what my client's pre-approved up to. I can tell you they're pre-approved to buy the property.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it blows my mind. I saw one that disclosed their credit score. Pre-approval that had their credit score on it. Dead serious.
Wow.
Wow.
Never seen that.
Just got it the other day.
Did you hear about the lender in, I want to say it was California, that got they got some bad reviews on like Yelp or something? The lender responded to the reviews by posting their credit scores and
Oh boy.
like all their personal information.
Oh my gosh.
How they kept their license, I don't know. I think they were fined like $100,000 or
Yeah.
something. But that was their response. It was like bad customer service and be like, you had a 530 credit score.
Wow.
So Chad does not do that.
Probably not the best
No.
way to do that.
No.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, one last thing. And keep in mind, I'm only touching a couple pages here on this book, so there's a ton of great information here. Is overpricing a property and the effect that can have. And it's like, well, it can't hurt to just try this.
We can always go down.
We can always go down. Now there is something. If I tend to be one to price on the high end of the market estimated range unless I'm bracket pricing. I like to just go for it, but I also am going to test it in pre-list, right? I think that's a great opportunity. What is the interest level in the coming soon for this price that we have, right? And then we can kind of try it out from there. But let's see here. The dangers overpricing. Buyer looking for your home location and square footage. Do you think? Okay, gotcha. So there's 5 things that happen when you overprice and you're not getting the activity, right? So a buyer sees your home and then just immediately assumes it's priced too high for the neighborhood, and they just don't come and look at it, okay?
Check that one off their list.
Right, check that one off their list. So they're not going to come back and look at it. Now, they may come back again when it drops, but now you're building market time. So, okay, so the slower, lower showing activity means that you're spending more time on the market than in comparison to the other homes in the area. And then people start to wonder, right? What is it? The additional time on market makes buyers wonder what's wrong with it. We hear it every week with a buyer.
Right.
Hey, I've seen this one out here. What's wrong with it? It's priced too high.
Yep.
That's it. It's priced too high. Okay? So then the more time on market that you spend, even if you followed the advice of timing the market, which is another section in the book, you may end up missing that best point of opportunity, right? So the best time for showing activity, what would you say, Danny, as far as like when you list a home, how much time do you have window where you're going to have that most coming out of the gate?
Well, statistically, I mean, you should list your home on Thursdays.
Yes.
So that very first weekend, especially with a proper pre-marketing plan, I mean, that immediate window is where the bulk of the activity happens.
I usually say
But-
first week and a half,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So list on a Wednesday or Thursday. You go
Thursday.
through that first week. You go through that first weekend, and then you set up the open house for the following Sunday or whatever, and that's your big bulk of your initial hit. So if you did all of that and you prepped it and you pre-listed it, but you overpriced it, now that week and a half goes by, and
Right.
you've missed this opportunity. Or, March and April tend to be the busiest months. Well, if you're playing the dropping price game during April and now you're walking into June or July, now you're missing out there, and now that market time's busy. So then finally, this just all adds up to you getting less money for your home, right? Less money than had you just priced it right from the get-go. And happy to show the data on this any day of the week.
The thing about the money too is, depending on your position and how much equity you might have, there is on occasion there is a feeling for sellers to just sometimes they just kind of want to be done, and that is fine. But you do have to kind of factor that into the decision on how you approach it. And one of the ways I suggest people look at it is, are you really willing to sacrifice $10,000 or $15,000? And if you think about it in terms of how many hours of your life you have to spend to work to earn that $10,000 or $15,000, and yes, it can be stressful, but if you can put in an extra 5 hours worth of work and make $2,000 an hour, you would take that job every day of the week.
Right.
But sometimes there is a negative emotion attached with houses. So we tend to romanticize housing in general, but sometimes people don't have a great experience in their house, and it could be very personal with death or divorce or whatever it is.
Right.
But if you can disconnect from that standpoint and look at it when you're selling as a business decision, and understand that you are selling to somebody who's going to be an emotional buyer.
Well, it's leveraging the market and leveraging the tactics, and exactly. It's easy to get frustrated. It's I want this. I just want right. But when the raw, it's money and lots of it.
Right.
I mean, I over and over while writing this book was pulling data over and over, and these
usually tax-free money, as long as you've lived in the home for certain period of time.
And so, I mean, these numbers of 10, 20, 14, whatever percentages. I mean, in the median sale price, you're talking $20,000, $30,000.
So back to my point, in order to earn that amount of money,
you got to put in the
with
time.
taxes.
Yeah.
Right.
So to earn $30,000, you got to go out in your work. You might have to go out and actually earn $45,000.
Right.
So
I like the way you painted that picture.
Take the time and do it right. And if you have emotional connection, just hire out the work that you need, but maximize that return.
And a lot of it is, I mean, I think Danny, any of us here at Bricks, if somebody is, well, I don't know somebody to do the carpet. I don't know a painter. Guess what? We do.
Yeah.
We have somebody pretty much for every task.
I got a guy,
right? If you got a garage full of junk, I got a guy, right? And not only do we have these people, but usually they're reasonably priced. We're not just hopping on Google. Oh, I need somebody for this. These are people we've worked with for years, and we can count on providing good service at a reasonable price to our clients. And that should take away a lot of that stress, right?
Look at that situation we had with the gentleman that you recommended you were facilitating the deal, and there was quite a few things that needed to be done in the yard. Like there were some tree limbs that needed to be done, and big tree limbs. So Kirk had a gentleman that could come over and.
Oh yeah, that was for the lady she was another listener of our show.
Yeah.
And they wanted to buy the house they were renting, but we needed some stuff done so it could clear appraisal
quickly, and it was just done. It was great.
So, I mean, taking your time, approach it logically. I mean, would you take $20,000 to read this book? The answer is probably yes. So if you're selling a home, that's what it's worth in a sense. Maybe we should sell it for $10,000 a copy.
Let's give people $1 to take it and read it.
Give you $1.
Let's just be contrarian.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking around. People on Facebook, we'll be back next week. Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.